everyone, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake, and welcome to the new studio.
Yeah.
We did it. We have it looks so professional. We've got art. We've got more art. We've got boy panties.
We have show references.
We have
a wide shot that'll probably shut off in like 30 minutes.
Well, we're troubleshooting. It's a new studio. Don't worry about it. So, also, the audio might not be as crisp just yet, but we're getting more crisp. Okay, our crispification, just like the Popeyes chicken sandwich, is going to reach peak levels in the future.
Okay. So today we're doing yet another series similar to our Jordan Peterson 12 Rules for Life reading. This is. Oh boy, this is Ben Shapiro's How to Debate Leftists and Destroy Them.
I think you mean Ben Shapiro.
11 rules for winning the argument. So, one fewer rule, and as I tweeted earlier, Shapiro coming up short again. So, I just fell victim to one of the things liberals do. I personally insulted the man. Oh. Don't worry, that's not ad hom. His shortness has absolutely nothing to do with how wrong he is.
I mean, like, do I look like a physical threat to anybody? Do I seem like a physical threat to anybody? The last time I was in a fight, I was 14 years old. I was 2 years younger than everybody else in my high school class, and I was getting my ass kicked.
No. I'm also short, and I'm very fat. I'm not a twink boy like him, unfortunately.
But you haven't been named in any mass shooting manifestos yet.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty good. So, yes, the famous cousin of Mara Wilson, Ben Shapiro. We're going to be doing that. We're going to do this entire thing.
He's not cousins with Mara Wilson, is he?
Yes, he is.
That is bizarre to me, especially considering Mara Wilson is, like, progressive. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We had different words for the same thing.
Okay.
That's fine.
Good job, Matilda. You're nailing it.
So, yeah, we're going to do these one by one. Each video will be discussing his argument, unless his argument is so bad we just couldn't possibly stretch a reasonable-sized video out of one of his shitty things. So, I haven't read this on purpose because I want to go in blind to see if I'm up to snuff, if I'm willing to match wits with our little manlet.
Okay, so I have read this. It's much shorter than Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
How many pages is it, roughly?
This is like 30-something pages.
What?
Yes.
That's like a manifesto.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. Does he talk about how he wants to eradicate the Mexicans or anything? Or
No. He usually saves that for dog whistly things he does when he debates people.
How can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't... And when... You know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school.
But how can he be for that when he is himself Jewish? A group who has had genocide happen to them.
He's very pro-Israel. He's very pro-Israel and anti-Palestine, and probably okay with Israel if they destroy Palestine.
He's got something in common with all the great countries over the years. He supports apartheid. So
anyway, let's begin with the intro. How the left wins arguments.
Okay.
All that matters is victory. That's a message that seems to have been lost among conservatives, who are constantly focused on the virtue of their message, the intellectual honesty of their case, and the frustrations of having nobody care about either.
Hold on, wait. What's the intellectual honesty of, like, a conservative argument?
I don't know. Now, this intro is going to do some interesting things. Ben, along with a lot of modern conservatives, do this thing we call projection, in which they will say that their opponents are doing the thing that they do constantly. Now, Ben Shapiro is interesting in that he has framed himself, at the very least in his persona, as facts don't care about your feelings. I am all about logic and whatever. But really, when it comes down to it, Ben often, most of the time, falls prey to his own feelings on issues, especially in regard to things like trans issues, for instance. Now, when someone like Ben has a feeling, and they want to frame that feeling as if it is a fact, they will instead call it common sense.
Yeah.
Conservatives will often...
common sense is a dog whistle for, these are my fifis.
Yeah. And they will say things along the lines of, this is just common sense. This doesn't need to be demonstrated, stuff along those lines.
Common sense that if you have a vagina, you're a woman?
Now, the problem with this is that what one person deems as common sense might not be deemed as common sense for another person. In other words, common sense isn't very common. It's going to range from person to person, and that's why we need to base our policy decisions and how we view the world on actual data points and opinions of experts in those fields. Now, when Ben Shapiro goes out and talks about trans people, he doesn't do that. His little boy Fifis get hurt, and he goes out and has, like, weird arguments where he just doesn't understand the basic things they're talking about. But we'll talk about that in other videos. I assume at some point, probably the supplement, since this is a shorter book anyway, we'll do some of his like video content like we did with Jordan Peterson at the beginning of that series.
We're going to have to do some of his video content. In fact, I believe that he has a whole speech that's centered around this very topic. I don't know if he has 11 specifically that he did, but shortly before, I don't know if it was before he did his radio show or podcast or whatever the hell you call it. Yeah. But he used to do the talking circuit, and he would bring basically all of these up. And yeah, he's just... It just doesn't... It's very... Are you familiar with Charlie Kirk?
Name sounds familiar.
Here's his face.
Okay.
They're the same person, but one's Jewish. It's like they just split off in the womb, and one became a wasp.
Like mitosis happened?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty awful. So.
Okay.
TP USA kid.
Yeah. Oh, I know who it is. He's got the weird tiny face.
Yeah, but a big head?
Yeah.
It's real weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again,
That's not that he's wrong because he has a weird tiny face. I just think that was like Ben got the yarmulke during birth, and then Charlie, that's attached to him. Okay. And then Charlie got the smaller face.
Got it. But it's because conservatives don't think about how to win that they constantly lose. Take, for example, the election of 2012. Conservatives lost the 2012 election for one blatantly obvious reason. It wasn't just that their technology was no good, though the Obama campaign did have an obvious technological advantage. It wasn't just that conservatives did a poor job with the media, although they did. The reason that conservatives lost the 2012 election was garishly simple. Most people in America don't follow politics that closely. What they see about the various candidates are what the candidates say about each other, and what the media say about the candidates. So let's assume for a moment that you're a typical American voter.
Okay, hold on. If I'm a typical American voter, and I see Barack Obama up there with Joe Biden, right?
Yeah.
And say what you will about Joe Biden, he comes across as many things. Yikesy, semi, like small r racist is one of them. Did you see what he said recently?
Oh, God, no. What did Joe do? Fuck Joe Biden, by the way. Can we get him off the fucking stage?
He used poor as a euphemism for black.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. So, say what you will about Joe. But Barack Obama comes across as very intelligent.
Yeah.
I believe 2012, was that McCain?
Yeah.
Okay. Intellectual juggernaut Sarah Palin was also involved in that campaign. Do you know what the American people saw?
Oh, wait, no. He's going to talk about Mitt Romney. 2012 was Romney.
Was 2012 Romney?
Yeah, my bad.
You know, okay, so with Romney, you know what they saw? Every guy who's ever fired them. Right?
He goes on to talk about this, and I want to talk about Bain Capital a little bit when we get to it. But
sure.
Mitt Romney, friend of the black voter.
Who's got your camera, though? Who let the dogs out? Who?
So let's assume for a moment you're a typical American voter. You care more about Miley Cyrus twerking on the MTV Music Video Awards than you do the vagaries of Obamacare.
Okay, hold on. I care very deeply about healthcare, but I've got room in my brain for ass.
Have you seen Wrecking Ball? It's fantastic.
The video is pretty good.
Okay, look.
Also, all the memes. But yeah, that was... By the way, are we back in like 20... Are we literally in 2012 right now?
2014.
This was 2014 when this came out? Is that when Wrecking Ball came out?
I don't know when it came out. It doesn't matter. My point is this. I'm not going to pretend I think that the typical American voter is a bastion of information-based policy
of
decisions.
course not.
No, but I think it's pretty reductive to say that everyone's an idiot and they watch Miley Cyrus twerking videos. Ben, some people just disagree with you. I think in 2012, most people in this country, for the most part, agreed Obama did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Most people were in favor of Obamacare and what it did for the availability of healthcare for people.
It was supposed to be a stepping stone towards single payer, but obviously there was a little turtle man in the Republican Party that put a stop to that. His name is Turtle McConnell.
What exactly did the candidates say about each other during the debates? Here's what presidential candidate Mitt Romney said about Barack Obama. Barack Obama is not a very good president. He said Barack Obama doesn't do a very good job on the economy. He said that Obama's foreign policy has a lot of holes in it. He said Obama has done a pretty poor job across the board of working in a bipartisan fashion. I completely disagree with that. If anything, I feel that Barack Obama, one of his big issues during his tenure, he tried way too hard to work with right-wing people who absolutely refused to budge an inch on anything they ever did.
I agree. I mean, besides the drones.
Yeah.
I agree. Drones might be...
That's more general hawkish American foreign policy.
Expansion of presidential powers.
I disagree with.
Yeah, there's some things that we don't agree with. By the way, we're left of Barack Obama.
Right.
Ooh.
My issues are mostly that Barack Obama wasn't left enough, not
That's
Ben's
pretty much
issues
it,
that
yeah.
he thinks he's too left. But Romney added, Obama's a good guy. He's a good family man, a good husband, a man who believes in the basic principles espoused by the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. He's not someone you should be afraid of in any way. Essentially, Romney's campaign slogan was this: Obama, good guy, bad president. Now, this is sort of a thing that gets into, how do I put this? Sort of similar to Jordan Peterson, where he'll make descriptive claims, but not then make a prescriptive claim about what should be done about this. The implication here by Ben seems to be, we need to sling more mud, conservatives, which frankly, I've always felt, in what I've seen, at least in the media,
They do
conservatives do a lot of it, and a lot of arguments in bad faith.
Right, and so when they get when they get people that are outspoken from the left that do that to them, AOC is a great example, Rashida Tlaib, etc.
Yeah.
They can't fucking handle it. Like, they lose their minds and they become obsessed with these people that speak out. Remember that what was her name? Michelle something that did the White House Speakers Dinner. Michelle Wolf? Does that sound familiar? The comedian?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she's funny. She has kind of a voice that,
Yeah.
It's like beer. It's an acquired taste. But she was very funny and she made fun of Trump at the something ball.
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's the one. It's bougie. I don't remember these names of these stupid events. But yeah.
The Correspondents' Dinner Trump has not gone to once, by the way. Can I point that out?
Because she made fun of him and he was scared
He's
of it.
just
That was his first one.
Obama went to all of them. The last
And he gets roasted, yeah.
I think the last person to miss one was Reagan after he got shot.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm just saying the right usually can't handle this kind of stuff. Ben Shapiro is a really good example of this. He like screeches at stuff when people make fun of him and things. Like there's a tweet going around today where someone's like, "Haha, Ben, you're short," and Ben replied, "You're poor, and no one knows who you are. At least I can buy lifts." Like,
yeah, there was also that BBC interview where very famously.
Oh yeah, that'll be. Hopefully, you're editing clips in every once in a while where he just walks out.
He just freaks the fuck out about stuff when asked questions during an interview.
You talk about undermining the public discourse. It seems to me that simply going through and finding lone things that sound bad out of context and then hitting people with them is a way for you to make a quick buck on BBC off the fact that I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you. I don't care. I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a new book out.
Then why the hell are you interviewing me, sir?
It's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that society...
Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book claims that society is turning its back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
what are those values? What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, he's not.
You might want to say, he gets real triggered. Just saying. And here's what Barack Obama and his surrogates said about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is the worst guy since Mussolini. Mitt Romney is the guy who straps dogs to the top of cars. Didn't he do that? This is something that,
like on a family trip?
Conservatives, especially in regard to things like Google, for instance, they get mad like, oh, when my grandson types my name into Google, all bad articles come up. Conservatives, you get bad coverage because you do bad things? Have you considered it's not an issue of framing, it's an issue of genuinely the things that you were supporting are bad for people for example, they don't like it?
Anthony Weiner? Yeah. Real bad articles when you look at that guy. He was sexting kids. That's a thing we don't do and a thing we don't support. So Weiner got, I don't know, I was going to make a dick joke. Wanked. It's stupid. He got trashed in the media.
Yeah.
Because he deserved it. Like, this happens all the time on the left. Remember that one guy? He was a left-leaning guy, too, years ago. He, cheated on his wife with government funds and went to South America with his mistress.
That sounds familiar.
I can't remember his name, but yeah. Stuff like that happens constantly on left or right politicians, whatever. And we call them out just the same. The fact that Al Franken isn't currently in the Senate right now is a testament to how much ownership the left tends to, at least from a political perspective, take ownership of their bullshit. Whereas someone like
Roy Moore
was fuck that, I don't know, what's wrong with liking kids? I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I just got kicked out of the mall. And then Brett Kavanaugh's like, you know what? I like beer. And we're like, that seems like the character of a Supreme Court justice we should have. By the way, Ruth Bader Ginsburg just beat cancer. And David Koch died.
One to go.
God is a libtard and she loves us.
Mitt Romney is the kind of guy who wants to put y'all back in chains. Mitt Romney is leading a war on women, and in fact, he has a compiled binder full of women that he can use to prosecute this war. Mitt Romney is the type of guy who would specifically fire an employee so that 5 years later, his wife would die of cancer thanks to lack of health insurance.
Wait, this is a quote from Barack Obama?
No, it's not even in quotes. It's just general vagary. It's fifis that Ben has about things that were said about Mitt Romney. And to an extent, some of these things were talked about. But again, I think the issue is...
I remember the binder of women thing.
The binder of women is directly a thing that he said.
Yeah.
The reason that people make fun of that is because it shows how out of touch he is. That's the point. And the idea of him firing people, that was part of his job at Bain Capital. Bain Capital was an institution that goes into companies in, bankruptcy, strips them of all their parts, and then tells everyone to fuck off.
Right, and they basically, it's like,
I think they recently did Toys R Us. They came in and bought Toys R Us in a leveraged buyout, and then when things didn't go very well, they stripped it all and got rid of it. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a good or bad thing. I don't know Toys R Us's financial situation. I'm sure Amazon and various other things have undercut their business a lot. But that is the fact of the situation. He was part of an organization that, within capitalism, functions as essentially a vulture to come in.
Not essentially, literally a vulture. It's the business model.
They come in and pick scraps from businesses that are failing and lay everyone off. That was their job.
Hey, under capitalism, he's doing great. I mean, good for him getting his little piece of the pie, but that doesn't make him a good president.
Sure. The Obama campaign slogan, Romney, rich, sexist, racist, jackass.
I don't think that was the campaign slogan.
I don't think that was the campaign slogan, Ben.
Wasn't it just hope?
I think it was hope and yes we can.
Yes we can
something.
change.
I don't remember.
Wait, yes we can. Wasn't that Hillary?
Was it?
I don't fucking remember. Democrats are weird, but I don't know what. This is indicative to how people on the right tend to argue. I mean, they have to make stuff up, and make a straw man to even argue the thing they want to argue, because no one's saying the thing, right?
Yeah.
No one Barack Obama did not say that Mitt Romney is a bad person with a binder full of women and his wife died of cancer because he fired people. That isn't a thing. We're not calling him a shitbag. That wasn't actually what Barack Obama said. It was just he lost. Right?
Yeah. Now, back to the American voter. Let's assume you've been watching this messaging battle, and now you have two choices. Barack Obama, not a very good president, versus Mitt Romney, the worst guy ever. Who are you going to vote for? Most people would pick nice guy, bad politician over Mussolini, and they did. Again, saying Barack Obama was a bad politician is objectively untrue. Yeah, and again, I have things I completely disagree with. Obama was an effective politician for the most part. He faced incredible pressure from the right and stonewalling from people like the Tea Party and people like Mitch McConnell, and was still able to get Obamacare passed. So, whether or not you like his policies, to say he's a bad politician is just blatantly false. He was a terrific orator, a very respectable public figure, one of the only respectable presidents as far as, like, not being a shitbag we've had in a long time. I mean, people like Bill Clinton and George W. and Trump, have kind of scumbaggy things going on. Trump has affairs and touches women inappropriately.
Clinton has affairs and touches women with consent, but, well, sometimes.
It wouldn't surprise me if Bill Clinton was a shitbag either.
Wasn't the whole... He had a couple cases where they brought up, like rape and shit like that. And, of course, both of those two have ties to the guy that got suicided recently.
Yeah, suicided. Yeah. Anyway, so... It's interesting when the right tries to paint Obama as this monster of a person when he was
pretty benign. A little, he's center left, very hawkish, but like there's a feeling you get when someone is president, and you want at the very least. And I'm not saying this is all Barack Obama did, but at the very least, you want them to feel like they're actually holding on to the wheel while they're in the driver's seat, right? Yeah. And I felt like that the whole time. I never felt like he was not measured. He may have made decisions that I wouldn't have made, like mostly the hawkish stuff. But like there was a level of measure to him. Now Trump is a wild card. Now that said, I don't think Mitt Romney would have been any much different in that regard. He seemed pretty even keel. He was a Mormon,
yeah.
So I was worried about how. I mean, I'm worried about how Christians flavor their shit anyway, but like devout ones. But like, I would worry how like a Mormon who's just so anti-science. Like even some Christians are like, yeah, okay, science is a thing. Mormons just straight up ignore history. So it's like, it's another level to lay on top of that. Whereas like, you know, there are candidates that the right could put forward that would be closer to center than people that they're pushing wildly, but like man, they especially, he wrote this before the phenomenon of Trump, and I know he's not a huge Trump supporter and he's pretty critical of Trump at times, but it's not for like the right stuff necessarily. It's like boring policy stuff that he's like he like chirps about, but it's not like, oh, he talked about like touching women inappropriately.
Sure.
Like, yeah, we need to. It's a character problem. He also has policy problems, but character is his number one flaw.
Yeah. No wonder the left seeks to avoid political debate at all cost. Why bother? Members of the left are not interested in having a debate about policy. They're not interested in debating what is right or wrong for the country. This is a confounding statement as far as I'm concerned because, and this is brought up during the interview where Ben got so mad too, and I agree with this. New ideas for the country are being brought up by the left, not the right. What's a right new policy decision from the past decade and a half?
Well, that's the kind of the definition of conservatism, right?
Right.
So like I can't.
But whether you agree or not with like the left, with AOC, with things like the Green New Deal or whatever, if you think that they don't go too far, they go far, like way too far, whatever you happen to think.
If anyone left of like I don't know, Donald Trump is an SJW to you, like.
But these are at least policy decisions that are talking about what's going on in this country. Yeah. Income inequality, the fossil fuel industries, and how we have the looming threat of global warming, climate change that's currently going on.
Oncoming automation and the worry of the labor force, like the wages that the current labor force has before automation really takes hold of like stuff like trucking.
Things like maternity leave, paternity leave, workers' rights. These are issues that get brought up by the left and debated by the left. The right's entire argument is no. That's their argument. And to lower taxes for the rich. again, which they did under Trump, and it's not going well.
It never goes well.
It's not going to go well.
There was a graph of the budget deficit, right?
Obama lowered, again, whether or not
just
you like
Obama, there's a whole track. So it goes.
Obama lowered the deficit every year he was in office, and Trump has expanded it every year he's
well,
been in
it goes
office.
George H.W. Bush, and it gets really high, and then Clinton comes in and gets it to I think we made a profit.
We had a surplus.
We had a surplus at some point. Then W, right? And it goes all the way up. I mean, war, tons of war, obviously. Barack comes in, it goes down. Then Trump comes in, and it's already double what Obama's was. So, by the way, I just want to mention at the beginning of this, when you said the left doesn't want to debate, I will debate you, Ben Shapiro, at any point about anything, literally anything.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the best pizza in New York? I will come there, I will taste, and I will debate you about it. I will debate you about literally anything. Oh, you live in L.A. You don't have good pizza.
They're interested in debating you personally. They're interested in castigating you as a nasty human being because you happen to disagree. This is what makes leftist. An unearned sense of moral superiority over you. Here's something Ben Shapiro doesn't understand because he's all facts over fifis, even though his arguments are mostly based upon his own personal feelings. Me saying to you, your policy is going to hurt people, and that is not good, and that maybe doesn't say very good things about you and how you feel about your fellow Americans, it's talking about the policy. I can say to you, that policy is bad. It hurts people. Why do you want to hurt people like this? That's not me just saying, I'm mad. No, I'm saying your policy has material influence on the people in this country. You should be aware of that, and if you are aware of that and don't have any reason to care, it doesn't speak very well to you as a person. Your character matters as someone who is in a role of the president or whoever you might be.
Yeah, but even beyond that, there's people on the left constantly that will debate policy with you. I don't know who's he talking to. That first of all, he conflates anyone with the left as a leftist, which is a very different thing. It's like calling a liberal a socialist. Not really. There's liberal, progressive, leftist, and then fucking tankies and shit, which I think is a little horseshoe. But I mean, there's so many people. Was it Sam Cedar? He'll debate policy with you. I'll debate policy with you. I don't think you'll ever come talk to me, but that's okay. I just don't understand the straw man of the only argument the left has is your moral character is bad, when I can just say, okay, supporting Saudi Arabia is bad.
Sure.
It's bad. Why is it bad? Because they have human rights violations that we have determined. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes the United States shady, right? So, I don't know,
that's
easy.
a problem, though, too, because people like Ben Shapiro tie their identity a lot with national identity, and when you insult the country or say that there is some moral failing in the United States or some policy failing, they think it reflects upon them directly.
Okay, but he constantly rails about moral failings in the United States because of things
they're hypocrites.
The LGBT community, right?
So they're complete hypocrites. Yeah. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that this is the thing they do.
It's fucking dumb.
People on the left are taught from childhood that they are better than conservatives. It makes them feel good to hate conservatives, and the hatred is justified because, after all, conservatives are bigots.
We're huge lefties. We both come from conservative backgrounds. The fuck are you talking about? You come from immense privilege. He comes from fucking money. Does everyone know that? He was syndicated on the radio at 17 because he had fucking familial connections to the entire media empire of right-wing news talk radio in LA. This is a thing that Ben Shapiro had just literally been handed and groomed for since birth. I grew up in the woods.
Ben Shapiro doesn't believe that systematic oppression of any group, whether it be racism or financial, exists, by the way, probably because he had an immense place of privilege from a young age. Just want to point that out.
This is part of the reason I wore the Baby Man shirt today.
I like Baby Man.
I like Baby Man, too. This guy's a little bit more buff than Ben, though. You think if Ben worked out, he'd be hot? I think hot Ben Shapiro exists on some sort of spectrum somewhere.
Here's a hot take. I think Ben Shapiro in a Twinkie way is attractive. It's his personality that off-puts me.
In a Twinkie way is attractive? Yeah.
If Ben Shapiro...
It's his brows that I feel like...
If I met someone somewhere who looked exactly like Ben Shapiro but wasn't a complete shitbag...
You think so?
Fuck it. I'd suck that dick.
I don't know. It's not circumcised.
That's a good point. Good point. No, they do. They do bristles.
Wait, do
that's
they?
What a bris
oh, yeah,
is.
no, that's the opposite.
No,
he's got a real clean dick. It's fine.
Good to go.
Fine. Perfect.
Ben Shapiro strikes me as the kind of guy that doesn't wash his dick because he thinks it's gay, though. So. Just saying. This is why it's so comfortable to be on the left. That unearned sense of moral superiority. Unearned because folks on the left haven't done anything positive for decades. Obamacare. Obamacare.
Wait. Is he only... When he says decades, does he mean, like, civil rights was good?
I don't know.
Like, that's the last good thing anyone on the left did?
I don't know.
What are you talking about? How about Obergefell v. Hodges?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he's... Never mind. He thinks that's deplorable. No, can't do trans rights.
Legalization of marijuana in a
No,
variety
he thinks
of states.
that's bad.
Does he?
Yes.
Wow.
He's not very for liberty, that's for sure. Being against war proliferation in the Middle East?
I don't think he agrees with that.
Does he think we should bomb the...
He is incredibly pro-Israel. I think he would love if Israel just went to war with absolutely everyone and we supported him.
Maybe we haven't done anything good then in his eyes, because what is the last leftist thing or lefty thing that he thinks is good? Is it literally just giving black people the right to vote and shit? Like,
I don't know. I
like
think
not,
in his
not
mind,
segregation.
I think it's back in the days when the Democrats were pro-slavery is probably the last thing he was in favor of.
The last good thing they did was not want to vote for Abraham Lincoln.
Anyway, continuing.
By the way, he shouldn't have won that. Nobody fucking supported him. What a crazy... That is... Guys, go check out some history on that. That's really cool.
College students' sense of moral righteousness doesn't come from achievement. It comes from believing that you were a bad person. Here's another problem with Ben Shapiro. He bases his opinion on the left on dumb college kids.
Yep.
Which, most people when they're in college, when they're older and look back, similar to when you look back on your high school or middle school years, you kind of regret it. Of course, certain people in college are going to have senses of heightened moral superiority because they're college students. They're inundated with new ideas, and many of those new ideas are very interesting to them and open their eyes to certain systematic or institutional injustices. And in doing so, they believe that they have improved. And I agree that they've improved, but that improvement can also go hand in hand with a certain amount of smugness that ideally will temper over time. But by and large, I still think it's better that these people recognize general injustices taking place, even if they feel a little smug about knowing these things. Eventually, the smugness can go away, but the knowledge that they gain from the institution is still there. You get what I'm saying?
When I was at community college, there was an old guy that had gotten fired from his job, so he needed retraining because he's old and he decided to have an old people job, right? Bootstraps yourself, old people. Just saying, if you get phased out, it's your fault, right? We don't want any safety nets for you. We were in... I think it was some sort of politics class. It was very early on. And we were talking about Islam, and he said, and I quote, "Not every Muslim is a terrorist, but every Muslim could be one."
Oh, no!
Yeah, no, I like that guy. He's probably dead now.
That's good.
Yeah, he probably died because no one was going to hire that guy. He got homeless for a little bit. For sure.
Let's see. It comes from believing that you are a bad person. You are racist and sexist. They are not. That makes them good, even if they don't give charity, have never met a black person, stand for policies that impoverish minority communities across the United States, and enable America haters around the globe.
Hold on.
Let's take this one okay. Claim at a time.
Do the first one.
Okay. Let's see. Don't give to charity.
Okay, so if you don't give to charity, you're neither bad nor good. That has no bearing on your goodness.
Have never met a black person.
I don't think you need to be meeting black people IRL to not harbor racism against them.
Sure. Stand for policies that impoverish minority communities across the United States. This is an interesting one to me, considering Ben has said on camera, and I'll insert the clip, he says, I don't believe that there's institutional racism.
Is racism real?
Yeah, of course racism is real. But I don't think institutional racism is necessarily real.
If there's no institutional racism, then in what way can a policy detrimentally impact a racial minority, Ben? Or does that only work when it's being put at you and you disagree with the policy?
Anytime there's a tax raise, which is supposed to be on rich people like Ben, not poor communities, he says it hurts poor communities because
sure, but
overall we're taxed more, but those people don't even see a tax dollar getting taken from their things. Frankly, you could do a tax cut on very low income people and say, because I mean we basically do, we give them tax return, we give them money back, right? And still tax at a higher rate, and overall America will be more taxed. But it's never going to touch them.
Even if in his hypothetical that were true, and taxing poorer communities, which obviously would target black communities in particular and minority populations because they
due to our systemic history of like chattel slavery and only getting rights in 1969, which by the way was only 40, 50 years ago?
Something like that. Either way, that would be an example of systemic and institutional racist policies that harm specific communities. But he doesn't believe that exists in any form other than higher taxes, apparently.
Well, and other than when it happens and the left does it.
Yeah. Enable America haters around the globe.
Okay, who's in what about making the people in the country more financially secure and giving them healthcare, so making them healthier, and giving them access to education, so making them smarter? What about that is emboldening America haters around the world? Because then they'll be like, look, American exceptionalism, they have a good country. I hate that because I'm not there. Is that what you're talking about, Ben?
It's because he thinks that pointing out bad things America currently and has done in the past somehow emboldens and enables people around the globe who don't like America, despite the fact that pretending that the bad things America has done don't exist has absolutely no bearing on, let's say, a jihadist, for instance.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So jihadis exist in the form that they do in current day. A lot to do with American interventionism, and especially in the Cold War in like 1986-87 when we went to Afghanistan and armed the fucking Al-Qaeda against their fight against the Russians, and then their entire infrastructure gets destroyed. And we just leave. We don't help anybody. We spent all the money to help kill Russians, none of the money to help maybe embolden an Afghani kid. Huh? Do you think maybe when they see a bunch of bombs around and they have a bunch of exploded munitions going off and they have like maimed kids and shit and it says made in the USA on the side, do you think that might flavor someone's idea of what's going on over here just a bit, instead of saying like a big school or a hospital that says like George H.W. Bush Hospital? Like that was like a C-. Don't even smile at me for that. No, I don't deserve that.
It was better than it was more. I wasn't expecting it. So.
Because of course George wouldn't build a hospital.
No,
unless he was to bomb it. Builds them just to blow them up. America.
It doesn't matter if they pointed out a KKK member to you. You'd run across the lot to knock them out. Ben Shapiro in favor of political violence.
Wait, Ben Shapiro is in favor of punching Nazis?
According to...
Holy it's a hypothetical. Shit. Ben Shapiro, I didn't know you wanted to punch Nazis. Ben... Andy No. We need to get Andy No on this right now. Stop going to Portland, Andy. Go straight to LA and start filming Ben Shapiro, because that little guy, he may be a welterweight, maybe a featherweight, but he's got some reach on Nazis, and he's going to punch them. Granted, he is Jewish, so maybe he is for punching like Richard Spencer.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
In order for them to be morally superior, you must be morally inferior. Calling you racist and sexist, a bigot, and a homophobe gives them a sense of satisfaction with their status in this universe.
Okay.
Even if they never helped an individual human being. Here's the thing. I agree that not every single conservative is racist or homophobic or whatever, but if you are racist and homophobic, you are probably a conservative. Because it wouldn't make sense to be a leftist or someone who is progressive or left-leaning if you were those things. And often the policy-making decisions of people on the right tends to harm people who are disenfranchised already, people who are gay, people who are trans, people who are a minority, things like that. So policy decisions and the stance you take on them is a reflection of your morality.
Yes, and by the way, not he is the example of they call you a racist, a homophobe, and a sexist, but you've never helped someone in your life. Having a zero net benefit to the world is not the same as having a negative net benefit to the world, which is what sexists, racists, and homophobes do. So you could be all of those things, and I could be here like, fuck it, I'm a nihilist, I don't care, and I have hurt no one, and I'm still better than you. Like, from a moral standpoint, right? So that's a terrible argument, Ben. I don't know. It's like he doesn't actually, like, he wrote that down, and he's like, period, done.
Facts and logic.
That was way too deep.
Yeah.
Period, done. Chad Ben Shapiro.
Chad Shapiro. This is a bully tactic. When someone calls you a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe because you happen to disagree with them about tax policy or same-sex marriage or abortion.
Okay, that's bullying. The part. Wait. The first part, I don't think tax policy really comes into play when someone determines whether or not you're one of those isms. The other two do. The other two are pretty important. Specifically, same-sex marriage. You can be anti-abortion and not be sexist, right?
Sure.
I don't think you can be anti-gay marriage and not a homophobe.
No, you can't.
I don't think you can.
You can't, because you're advocating for a policy that literally determines that the people who are gay are not afforded the same rights as you.
Yep.
That is inherently homophobic.
But it's not a constitutional right.
All men are created equal, especially if they want a sword fight.
That's the other one. Sword fight? Dicks? Dicks?
Yeah.
That's not what...
It'd be floppier. I can't make my fingers penisy.
You gotta loosen the wrists. That's real penis. That's... Guys, how penisy are my fingers right now? You better be zooming in on this and using the tracking function. I'm just saying.
Continuing.
Pretty penisy?
Anyway, it's not bullying, Ben. You fucking triggered cuck.
Wow!
How dare
Whoa! By the way, if you like watching your significant other getting fucked...
Cool,
man. Do you think Ben has ever given his doctor wife an orgasm? Like a legitimate one? Like where she didn't have to, like, finish herself
There's
off?
no way he goes down, right? 0% chance.
I don't think that's kosher. That's seafood. If it smells fishy, that's... Just clean it up. Because he only comes in it, and so it stays in there and bakes, and it gets a scent, an aroma, if you will, of one that represents, or I guess, is similar to that of old salmon. You okay?
All right, so that's this episode.
That's where we got demonetized. You can bleep some of that if you'd like.
Okay. The next section, we didn't even finish the intro, by the way. We're 45 minutes deep, so
that's it.
That's good.
It's good to go.
This is more content dense than Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson just says a lot of shit for no reason. Ben gets to the point with his stupidity. He knows where to get it, right there.
That's okay.
Next, we're going to be talking about the institutional takeover, how the left has taken over colleges and stuff.
If you like this right here, this content, I want you to share it with your friends, okay? You don't do that enough. You don't tell your friends that you appreciate them by showing them takedowns of Ben Shapiro with facts and logic, okay? You need to tell your friends that, like, this is... Hey, Kyle? I don't know, Jeremy? Your friends, because you're a bunch of white kids. I appreciate you. Watch these two fuckboys talk shit about Ben Shapiro for 45 minutes.
I don't know why I find it so funny. Maybe next... I don't know. We'll see. Next time we'll either do the next part or do a short video he's done.
Maybe we should buttress it with videos because his book is so short and it won't take us a year to get through it.
Yeah.
We'll do a Ben Shapiro vid next time. Maybe his part of the speech leading up to this. Maybe we'll...
Okay.
What's that called? What's this called? Anybody?
I don't think what you're doing right now has a name.
Comment below. What is this called?
So you can always follow us on Twitter at PapaBirdJake.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You could also follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/actualjake. You could follow Hugo at
twitch.tv/Hugo Reloaded. I'll use it eventually.
There it is.
You can always...
We have this and we have nowhere to put it, so it's like... It's like Ricky Bobby's hands. It just is going to float around the set until we find a permanent home for it. A forever home. This is a rescue. Okay.
We rescued it from YouTube.
Rescue,
which is a horrifying place.
Oh, it's just so bad.
You can always donate to our Patreon campaign if you like this and want to help support the show.
Indeed.
You can always, we have a P.O. box.
Yeah. By the way, since we have the new set, we can finally do other stuff for Patreon patrons only. So we'll do like long form conversations where we just talk about
dabbing.
Well, not on purpose. Accidental dab. This is the side effect of being a Twitch streamer on accident.
I'd say you got a
PogChamp.
No, you got
Kappa.
You got to floss.
That's dead. That's a dead meme.
Oh, and dabbing is it?
No, you can dab ironically or on accident, but never intentionally.
Flossing will come back ironically then in like 5 months.
Maybe.
I don't know how Fortnite's doing.
Anyway, yeah, if you want to be a patron, I don't know why I'm pointing up here. Apparently we're talking up here. If you want to be a patron, do that. For only $1, you will get access to things that get banned off of YouTube. Because that happens all the time. Things that get demonetized, you'll get early access to that. You will also get access to very, very exclusive patron-only content that will be coming out very soon now that we have the studio together. And for the high-tier people, around December time, you're going to be getting a nifty gifty in the mail. So it'll be fun. We'll do our top 10 to 20 to 25-ish patrons for the year get nifty gifties from us.
Nice. So, that's it. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
And this has been, what are we going to call this series? Just Ben Shapiro?
Facts and logic.
Facts don't care about your feelings, Ben.
They don't. I've been sitting like this, and I don't know why. I think it's because I have so much space now that you're not next to me. I can do so many things. Look at all the physical comedy I can accomplish.
I think you'd have to be funny first.
No, that's what physical comedy's for. I don't have to be funny. I look funny. Chris Farley made a whole career on this. Where's my cocaine? I need it if I'm going to follow in his footsteps. And then, not just his footsteps, but that little chalk outline they do around a dead body because he's dead from the cocaine.
Am I Chris Farley or am I Adam Sandler?
You're David Spade.
I meant to say David Spade. So I'm definitely David Spade. Fuck.